Happy New Year, Rahim. How are you?
I'm doing very well today, Tracy. How are you? And Happy New Year to you as well.
Thank you. You know, of course, Trump has just been inaugurated, and everyone in the industry wants to know how this is going to impact the critical minerals sector. As a leader globally in the sector, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think our thoughts are tied to much more longer term and strategic issues. And the issues that President Trump has identified are very important. And I think they're consistent. And it is about the dependence that we have on various jurisdictions in the world for critical materials. So critical materials has been, very high on every government in the world's list of things to be looking at, I would say at least over the last 5 years, and quite honestly, much longer than that. But I think every day we're seeing a ramp up of the importance of critical materials, of the importance of independent supply chains, and not to be dependent on any single jurisdiction for that material. I think Trump is going to continue with the importance of that, as well as things that are designated to try to grow supply chains that are outside of China. So when we talk about dependence in terms of critical materials, we're often talking about, especially within the rare earth sector, we're talking about China's overall control and dominance of the industry. They've been in the industry for a very long time. And I think that the world needs to have more diversification. And I think Trump is very aligned with that need for diversification. And the questions are merely how we get there.
Well, as a TSX main board listed company, obviously the tariffs in Canada have a lot of people in discussions. Can you comment on that and how that might impact, for instance, Neo Performance Materials?
Yeah, look, tariffs are obviously a moving part, and the announcements to come will certainly create waves in all forms of negotiation. So we are, I would say, a healthy participant in understanding and contributing to what are the understanding of the impact of these tariffs. And there are certain things that the world knows we need to be very thoughtful of. For example, we ship gallium. And gallium is a very critical material. We ship recycled gallium. It's a necessary input into the semiconductor industry, and the world is trying to grow its semiconductor industry. We are the only recycler in North America, and we're trying to create, China has actually recently put export restrictions on the shipments of gallium. So that material is critical, and it's critical to enter supply chains in a cost-effective way. And I think there's a very high level of awareness that when we talk about tariffs across the board, there will be areas in which we need to be thoughtful in terms of our approach. We talk about tariffs by jurisdiction and whether that's affecting Canada or Mexico in the more recent discussions, but also longer terms of things where we are dealing with trade practices that are viewed to be unfair, as well as areas in which people need to strategically grow their domestic enterprises. And in all of those environments, and maybe it's just beyond growing their domestic enterprises, it's growing a geographically diverse set of suppliers. And in that universe, I think that these themes are going to be things that will continue beyond any single administration. To the degree Trump continues to talk about more tariffs and maybe puts more tariffs, particularly between China and the US, it creates more opportunity for competitiveness of some of our facilities around the world that are shipping into the US and competing directly with China.
I'm so happy that you brought up gallium right out of the gate. Most people in the market may not be familiar with the fact that you are the leading producer outside of Asia and the sole recycler in North America. Now, did you know that the Chinese were going to restrict all exports of gallium when you made this announcement to take your business in that direction, Rahim?
Well, I think that we had looked at things that are related to critical materials, and things that were related to a circular economy and providing recycling capabilities, in areas in which we thought there was great opportunity for growth. And I think that that's where we focus our business and business efforts on. I think the change in the Chinese policy, we've been doing gallium for an awfully long time. And the change in the Chinese policy is really a response to some changes in US policy. And that'll be a continuing dynamic that will continue to grow. And our view is we just need to continue to focus on the most value add areas of our business and how we can continue to service our customers. So I wouldn't say that we foresaw an export restriction to gallium. I think what we do focus on is where are there critical materials, where is there geographic concentration, and what we can do as a company to help diversify that risk.
And of course, you've done a great deal with that. And in diversifying that risk for your shareholders, there's always been a pricing challenge that I was talking to your team about. Can you explain how Neo Performance Materials has minimized the risk for your shareholders?
Sure. So Neo has always focused ourselves on being a value add company. So we're not a company that bases our economics and our margins based on the commodity price and movements in the commodity price itself. So our focus continued. Now, commodity prices will obviously have a risk to everyone, but as you can see, rare earth prices are kind of at a, I wouldn't say an all-time low, but certainly a recent history low. Certainly coming off, 25% of what the prices were, or 30% of what the prices were 2 or 3 years ago. Yet Neo grew its EBITDA and it grew its profitability year over year. And I think that shows the nature of the value add nature of our business. So, we structure our contracts accordingly. We've also entered into new tolling agreements and other areas where we are minimizing the commodity risk and focusing on the value add. And I think that is ultimately the thesis of the company.
Well, I like to say that congratulations, it's obviously working. We're not the only ones following Neo Performance Materials. I was reading a story in the Globe and Mail from the Contra guys who have selected Neo Performance Materials as their top stock pick for 2025. That just came out yesterday. Congratulations. Are they friends of yours or?
No. Well, maybe they should be, but no, we have no relationship with them today. And it was an interesting article, and we're very supportive of the key themes that it pointed to. Right, it pointed to, I would say, the very strong financial position of Neo. We have growing EBITDA, we have a strong dividend that we pay to our shareholders, we have a healthy balance sheet. We are, as I said, we're a profitable company operating in a critical materials and rare earth space, which is something that is not as common in the industry as you might think when we have a long history of profitability. We are exposed to some incredible growth markets. Like if folks want to get themselves exposed to things like, energy efficiency, more powerful motors, vehicle electrification, robotics, the need for AI and supercomputing changes in environmentally sustaining technologies, I think your investment is in Neo because we have facets and plays into all of those sectors. And all of those sectors where we are participating already. We are not going to grow. It's not a growth story necessarily. It's not a startup story necessarily. It's who we are today. It's the markets that we serve today. So we think we are facing incredibly positive markets. And I think that the article also spoke to some of the changes in our footprint, our growth in Europe, our growth of a magnetics facility in Europe, our simplification and focus that happens within our business, all of which I think are good, rational, and true points. Of course, it also speaks to how cheap we are, which is also a fair point by any metric that one would look at in terms of EBITDA multiple, dividend ratio, revenue to market cap, whatever metric you want. That can't be the metric that we're most proud of. That's not part of the story that we're most proud of. But it is a fact of life today, and our goal is to reward investors for making those investments, and tomorrow have a story that's just as positive on the growth outlook of the company, except be talking about the price being reflective of future growth opportunities rather than just cheap in our existing business as well. So we got some work to do, but I think the story was great in terms of raising the awareness of Neo, the focus and the idea of what we can do, not just that, an existing strong and profitable business, but also incredible growth opportunities.
Well, a couple of points they made that I really appreciated was that you've been paying dividends since 2018, and consistently positive free cash flows indicate effective management, was a note I made. But something nobody ever talks about is high insider buying. Okay, it says here that in the last year, executives and directors purchased 658,000 in stock. Can you talk about that just for a moment?
Well, I guess I can talk about it only very little bit, given the dynamics of it. But yeah, I have been a buyer of the stock for the last couple of years. I'm a firm believer in what we're doing and in the growth path that we're on, and I think that we will see more and better things as we go.
Well, usually we just like to talk about the present and moving forward, but I would like to highlight 2024. I did an interview with you about a year ago, and you outlined what you were going to achieve in 2024. And I was reviewing that interview last night, and not only did you achieve everything you said you were going to do, you actually exceeded everything that you said you were going to do. Would you like to talk about the thing you're most proud of achieving last year and some of those highlights, please?
Wow. Yeah, there's quite a list of them. We set out a fairly ambitious plan for us in 2024, and we did something that I think is maybe more unusual than others. Is we communicated it to the market. We had told everyone this is what we're going to do, and watch us go do it, and hold us accountable, whether we do it or we don't do it. And if you look at the kind of the pillars of what that plan was, it was we were going to have a solid improvement in our earnings. And we grew our earnings, as I said, our EBITDA, according to the guidance that we provided at the end of Q3. So I won't speak to Q4, but we said we'd have a 50% or more growth in our EBITDA rate. But we said more particularly that we would see an improvement in the quality of our earnings, that it wouldn't just be about rare earth pricing. As we talked about, rare earth pricing is an all-time low, not an all-time low, but a current period low. Yet we're seeing improvement in our earnings, and I think that's an exception within our industry. We talked about changes that we would make in our manufacturing footprint and the execution of various projects. So we built a catalyst facility, probably one of the largest capital projects the company has taken on in the last 10 years, and we built it successfully, on time and on budget. The facility has launched. We had its grand opening a few months ago. We're running at run rate now, and we're seeing more and more customers become more and more excited, and we've actually received new orders from new customers now that they have seen that facility in place and what we can do. We said we'd launch a magnet facility in Europe, and I think that project is on time and on budget, and we have won awards for that business as well. And that's going to be a really exciting growth driver for the future. I think we're seeing incredible customer interest. It's a facility that's going to be providing rare earth magnetics to Europe and North America, something that we desperately need, given that China produces and supplies 90% of all rare earth magnets today. We definitely need global diversity. We said we'd simplify our operations and focus on some downstream operations. To that extent, we closed part of one operation. We successfully sold one operation, and we're in the process of selling two that we have announced, and we just haven't got to closure yet. And we've made incredible progress on cost reductions. So across the gambit of the things that we had promised, including kind of cash and capital, including the diversity of our feedstock, including new business awards, I think we have more than exceeded everything that we laid out a year ago, and we're really excited to see the things that we're going to deliver in 2025.
So the next question is obvious. What should we be looking forward to in 2025?
Well, Tracy, I'll provide more specifics on that when we come to doing an earnings call and an update of 2024 and 2025 generally. But I'll say today that I think you'll expect more of the same. We'll expect to see more execution. We'll expect to see continued development in our European magnet facility in terms of getting that facility ready for production. I think we'll expect to see new business awards, both in our catalyst facility, our magnet facility, and all other forms of our business. You'll expect to see continued investment in things like European solvent extraction, so separation of rare earths in terms of lights and heavies, a unique capability to Neo. We have a great focus on cost reduction, and I think we're seeing reductions in our conversion costs. So I think you're going to kind of see a business that's continuing to focus on the things that are most strategically important, focus on the growth, and continue to show strength and profitability and strength in free cash flow.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you at PDAC, and maybe we can explore this question again at that time. Rahim, as always, it's a pleasure, and congratulations on your many, many accomplishments and your focus in taking Neo Performance Materials to the next level. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Tracy. Always enjoy the opportunity to talk with you and all the work that you're doing and bringing awareness to the industry. It's fantastic work. Thank you.